Hey guys, I have a special coffee review for you today. This is from Case Coffee Roasters in Ashland, Oregon, and it is the Kenya Gachatha AA. And a little bit about this coffee. Well, it was gifted to me, and I actually thought it wasn't going to be too good just because I got it 2 or 3 weeks post roast. And as you may or may not know, coffee isn't as fresh after 2 weeks, and your results could be pretty unpredictable. So for the sake of freshness, I was a little bit concerned, but given the fact that I didn't start brewing this coffee until 3 weeks post roast, it actually amazed me. And what I mean by that is that it was a really well balanced, incredibly complex in terms of the number of flavor notes I picked up, and even different aromas that I was picking up from the ground coffee, the whole bean coffee, and just the brewed coffee. It was just so much. And although it was consistent across brew methods, there was also something unique about every brew method. So it was really an incredibly versatile single origin. And I haven't had too many Kenyan coffees. I'm really big on Ethiopian coffees. Relatively the same part of the world, but not quite the same. So I didn't really know what to expect. I did get a look at the tasting notes ahead of time, unfortunately, but I did come up with a whole bunch of my own. So it's great for espresso, it's great for drip, and I'll just tell you a little bit more about what I found. So let me tell you a little bit about Case, and as I already mentioned, they're from Ashland, Oregon, and they only choose coffees that are from 4 regions of the world. So Kenya is one of them, Colombia is another, Ethiopia is another, and then the last one is Guatemala. So they're very particular about the coffees they like. They like fruity coffees, which this definitely is, and clean, complex coffees. So I wasn't disappointed in that regard. They have described this crop from this particular year. So what makes up this coffee, they have described it as a unicorn of coffees. And actually, I don't know if they were the ones who labeled it as that unicorn coffee. I've read it around the web, but this is really, right now, this is a very hot coffee because the results are blowing everybody away. It's just really good. This is a light roasted coffee. Some might say medium, but I'm trying to get away from describing coffees as light, medium, or dark. So I've described this as a city roast. So you can take a look at the beans right there and decide for yourself. So let me tell you a little bit about some of the aromas I was picking up. Cinnamon seemed to be the most prevalent one, but I also got traces of blueberry here and there, a very little bit of cantaloupe. I got a little bit of honey, which they say is actually a flavor note that I wasn't picking up too much of, and just your standard milk chocolate, coffee blossom, that kind of stuff. It also had a little bit of a buttery aroma to it at times, but mostly in its whole bean form. Okay, so brew methods I used AeroPress, inverted and standard. I used Chemex, I used Kalita Wave that is. I used the Hario V60 and Auto Drip, so KitchenAid pour over. And I also pulled a few shots with my Pressy Twist for espresso. And it did great pretty much across the board. I had 1 or 2 bad cups, one of them being from the Chemex, but that I think was mostly attributed to what I think is really the only downside about this coffee, and that is that it can't really deal with some of the lower range temperatures. So I would say sub 200 degrees Fahrenheit, you're gonna get more sourness in your final cup of coffee or your shot, because this is just a roast profile that does best, I think, with the hotter water temperatures. Even though I did get 1 really sour cup of coffee from the Chemex, I also got one of my best cups of coffee from the Chemex, and that was almost 4 weeks post roast. So really unexpected there. Raspberry and milk chocolate were the most prevalent flavor notes that I was picking up throughout all the different brews, but I did pick up some other stuff too. I picked up a little bit of raisin, a little bit of lemon, some butter. So overall for me, my ratings, I think they were almost 5s across the board. Acidity and flavor were my 2 5s, my perfect scores, if you will, on my actual review. So if you click on the link, you'll see, but those got full 100s. And then for body, aftertaste, and aroma, I gave scores of 90 across the board. So it is definitely the best rated coffee on my site so far. I really, like I said, was shocked by this because of its relative lack of freshness, but I do plan to pick this up again, hopefully a fresher bag, to see if I'm picking up anything different. That would really be an interesting experiment if I compared an older bag to a newer bag, but I digress. Okay, so who do I recommend this coffee for? If you're not accustomed to drinking lighter roast coffees, I would actually recommend this coffee if you're thinking about trying light roast coffees. I think it's a great entry light roast because of how much complexity you'll find in your cup. I don't recommend it for somebody who's using an auto drip that isn't SEA certified. In other words, an auto drip that can't get your water hot enough for an optimal brew. This won't do well with lower temperatures, as I mentioned. It also, I don't think, does too well with coarser grinds. So if you're a French press user, I would probably steer clear. This is more of a coffee for pour over, and AeroPress, it did come out great. So that's another option you have there. If you make espresso, I also recommend this. This is kind of the perfect single origin coffee for espresso lovers and drip coffee lovers alike. So again, really versatile. It comes in a 10.5 ounce bag from Case, and I believe it's about $22. So it's a little bit pricey, but totally worth it in my opinion. So there you have it, guys. That is the Kenya Gachatha, hope I'm saying that right, AA, and that is from Case. You can also pick this coffee up from, I think, Verve and Clatch, but as far as I know at the time of this video or at the time of this review, these guys are one of the few roasters that's actually carrying it. So act now, it's apparently a very good year for this. I don't know if that's going to be the case in subsequent years. One more thing, if you liked this review, please don't forget to leave a comment, like it, subscribe, share, whatever.